Hello, and I should be live. How's it going, guys? What's up? So, I'm doing a stream today instead of doing a video because the video that I wanted to do today is only about half done, unfortunately. And I said, you know what? There's enough happening right now that we might as well talk about it. Also, I got coffee, so you make sure you guys have coffee too. That's good. Also, about 10 minutes ago, I started getting some nausea. I wonder if I'm getting sick. I would not want to be sick again. It's like, you know how, right before you throw up, you get like that warm saliva appear like right underneath your tongue? I've had that, but it hasn't escalated. And it's like, wonder if I ate something bad. Audio's quiet. Am I closer to the mic now? Okay. You know what? I need to get a preamp for this thing. Okay, so we should probably get right into it, and I shouldn't dick around so much, eh? Something like that. So, oh, your audio is way low. It's like 20% what it usually is. Are you sure? Because on OBS, it's okay. Anyway, you know what? I guess you guys have to turn me up better. I just moved myself closer to the mic. Ironcaster, where have you been, man? What's up? I recognize a bunch of names. Is it? Yeah, see, I'll fix it for next time, Butters. It's not that big of a deal. I'll fix it for next time. Okay, listen. A few things to announce, I guess, before we get right into it, because we have approximately 13 minutes. Okay? Let me find the thing. Where is it? Where is the thing? Okay. Very quickly, before we get started, you want to support the channel, there's 4 recurring sources on the screen: Patreon, Subscribestar, YouTube, my Twitch channel. The bot puts you into the $5 club in Discord if you subscribe there. Alternatively, you can send $100 US to my PayPal. I'll put you in the $5 club for life. Just send me the receipt. Send me or the mod's receipt. And if you want me to open your junk on stream, send it to my P.O. box. Also, in maybe 3 hours time, maybe a little bit more, 3.5 hours time, I will be kind of winding down for the night and streaming on the gaming channel. If you want to join me and my girlfriend, we'll be playing some Mass Effect. That's over at twitch.tv/gameboomers. But for now, we are starting. We are starting to talk about what's going on. We have 12 minutes. And here's what the 12 minutes is for. Let me find the thing. Here we go. Okay. Let me get my headphones on too. All right. In 12 minutes, Biden's remarks on Afghanistan, 3:45 p.m. As you know, Afghanistan is a shit show, isn't it? Let's talk about it a bit. I have a number of things we should talk about. Firstly, during this event, which is going to happen now in 11 minutes, in fact, Biden will only take questions from pre-approved media. Oh, boy. It's a big enough blunder, isn't it? It is a big enough blunder. So people are comparing this to the fall of Saigon, when America pulled out after a lengthy and protracted battle as a complete failure, egg on their face. They lost the Vietnam War, and now they have lost the Afghani War. R.I.P. R.I.P. Let's see now. This is what he said a month ago on it, and you should be able to hear this. I'll make sure that you can hear it. Check it out.
Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well equipped as any army in the world. and an Air Force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
So what is the level of confidence that they have that it will not collapse?
The Afghan government and leadership has to come together. They clearly have the capacity to sustain the government in place.
And do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero. What you had entire brigades breaking through the gates of our embassy. 6, if I'm not mistaken. The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable.
I'm pretty sure we are seeing that now, actually.
The question now is, where do they go from here? That, the jury is still out. But the likelihood there's going to be the Taliban overrunning everything and owning the whole country is highly unlikely.
So that didn't age very well, did it? Because that is exactly what happened. And I actually think I saw a picture, and it spun by my my timeline, so I didn't get to grab it. But I saw a picture of some kind of helicopter airlifting people out of Afghanistan. So he was 100%. This was just a month ago, guys. This was 1 month ago. Here, let's check back in. We'll begin shortly. All right. We can still continue going down these links then. So, oh yeah, this is going to be a little bit violent, guys. All right. So, I do expect this stream to get demonetized. This is going to be a more violent one. We're going to be showing a little bit of war footage here. So, if you're squeamish, look away. And if you want to support the channel, please consider doing so. Yeah. Apparently, the United States military has fired into a crowd of Afghani citizens in the airport because they're trying to get out. Let's see. Jesus. Holy fuck. What's going on here? Let's see this one. Damn. Yeah, people are crowding the planes. I don't know if you guys have... We'll look over that footage too, but people are crowding the planes right now. You know, I've seen that 98% of people actually want what the Taliban's offering, so I guess this is like the 2% that don't. They're like, please let us out of here. Afghan citizens are taking control of some parts of the U.S.-occupied airport, preventing the evacuation and departure of military aircraft.
Bibi khor, Bibi, chi halas? Chi halas, Bibi?
Holy fuck, dude. Jesus. I guess they have shitty internet in Afghanistan. Oh, yeah. Okay. Alright. So they're hanging onto the sides of the plane, and we'll see that in a bit. But watch closely. You can see dudes hanging onto the sides of the plane and then fall off. Just watch. Yeah, there he goes. You see that? Right there. There's 2 of them. Jesus. Just hold on to the plane, guys. That'll fucking work. Holy shit. Yeah, that's like on the level of jumping off out of the building like during 9/11. Yeah. And here's the people who are trying to jump on the plane as it takes off. Like, this isn't a bus, guys. I know, like, you're in the third world and maybe you're used to jumping onto, like, the back of a bus or a train. That's not how planes work. Look at him climb on in the back. Look at that. Look at him. That's not going to work, guys. Holy fuck. Oh my, it worked for Tom Cruise. Just roll before you land, it'll be fine. Oh my god. Yeah, this is a bad situation, all right? This is a bad situation. Let's keep going. I will check back. Still waiting on Biden to show up. Oh yeah. Fiery but mostly peaceful Islamic takeover. Listen to this. Listen to this, okay?
They're just chanting death to America, but they seem friendly at the same time. It's utterly bizarre. At the president.
Fiery but mostly peaceful Islamic takeover, guys. Oh my. Also, dude. Hold on.
Just chanting death to.
This woman is clearly a Western woman dressed up in Islamic dress, right? But I think I've seen her before on CNN. She doesn't usually dress like this. Fuck. What's this one? Oh, yeah. Well, that guy just got shot. Yeah, the Taliban is shooting people trying to get to the airport to escape. Fucking hell. Yep, we've seen this one already. Oh, yeah. So, the Taliban are moving in on erasing any sign of female empowerment. There's women who were on advertisements. They're getting painted over. I guess that's haram. Oh yeah, the Afghans we were with in February, they were all executed outside their homes in Kandahar on Thursday. All these guys are dead. They are not being peaceful about this. They are killing everyone who was part of the old regime. Check Biden, still not here yet. What's next? The Taliban are now in possession of more Black Hawk helicopters than 166 other nations around the globe. Yes, I know that she has to dress like that to avoid murder and rape. Yes, that's kind of the point. That's the point. I might have actually accidentally leaked the DMs, but that's okay. Nothing important is in my DMs anyway. But yeah, they left everything. They left drones, helicopters, armored vehicles, guns, tons of guns, dude. Like, shit. What a fuck up. Is that John in the top left? It actually looks kind of like John Trump, doesn't it? Hey, I'm Grump. Okay, so here's the Taliban walking through the palace of a US-backed warlord.
دا داخل سرای دی د فراون داخل سرای دی شبرغانی فراون نه مصری فراون د بم فکر کړی چې د ځکه بزولار سم الله دې خراب کړ دا داخل سرای دی.
Well, this is the thing, guys. This is currently unconfirmed, but I vaguely recall that President Trump had a plan. It would have taken him approximately 6 weeks longer to get out of Afghanistan, but he would have taken or destroyed everything they had left there. Like, everyone knew this was going to happen. Everyone knew the minute that the United States pulled out, they were fucked, no matter what. Women were going to be raped and murdered. They were going to be sold off. They were going to basically do what they did before 2001. Everyone knew that. It was inevitable. The only thing that we could do was pull out in a way that doesn't empower the Taliban. And Biden didn't do that. He just left everything behind. Oh yeah. Men only want one thing, and it's glorious. Oh my... The memes, guys. I'm checking it again. The memes are coming in. Let's see. We don't get tired with jihad. Injuries do not sadden us. We win even if we get martyred. If we're tired, that's success. We succeed by just being at war. This is our way, our glory. So, based on my most recent video, you guys can probably tell I've been reading some game theory texts. That's the next thing to read on my reading list is game theory stuff. And this is what we call an infinite game versus a finite game. America was playing a finite game, and the Taliban was playing an infinite game. And the difference is, an infinite game goes on forever, and the point is to play the game. A finite game goes on until there's a goal that is reached. And then once you reach the goal, the game's over. So because they weren't playing on the same level, it was inevitable that the Taliban would win. Now, see, that is also the reason, fundamentally, why America managed to beat the Soviet Union, because the Soviets were playing a finite game and the Americans were playing an infinite game. They were willing to fight, and when you are willing to fight until the absolute last breath, you will generally win, because you're playing on a different level. Biden's still at, will begin shortly, even though we're at, a minute after. I guess we'll just keep going until he shows up, eh? No, an infinite game does not mean that you have infinite resources. It just means that you are not willing to stop playing. So yes. Afghanistan's first female mayor. I'm waiting for the Taliban to come to people like me and kill me. She was 27. She became a mayor in 2018. And now that's gone. Now there are people who are like memeing and laughing, and there's right-wingers who are saying based, and it's like, I understand edgy humor on the internet. It's funny. But if we're going to actually talk about this seriously, we do have to admit this is a disaster. We do have to admit that people's lives are going to be destroyed by religious fundamentalists, and that everything was handled the wrong way. The nation building was handled the wrong way. The 20-year occupation was handled the wrong way. Pulling out was handled the wrong way, and how they got in there was handled the wrong way. Like, what they should have done is they should have went in with 10 times the men, 100 times the men back in 2001, and stomped them into the fucking dirt and then left, and then said, figure it out yourself, but if you attack us, we're just going to fucking overwhelmingly destroy you. There shouldn't have been a 20-year occupation. But because they did a 20-year occupation, they now have some level of moral culpability to not leave it like shit, and they're leaving it like shit. Fucking hell. Everything is fucked, guys. No Biden yet. Oh man, look at those dislikes. Jesus. You don't dislike it too. Holy fuck. And of course they have the chat disabled on their stream. It is not true that nation building never works. It's not true that nation building never works. But, this was not the way to do it. Okay, what's next? Right. Okay, so, we've heard this. Girls aged 12 and over are to be taken to be married off to Taliban soldiers. There's this version where there's apparently a fatwa issued where it's 15, and widows younger than 45 are to be surrendered to the state so that they can be married off to fighters and go to an Islamic school. There's also a verse further down. Those who went to fight aren't equal to those who stayed home and did nothing. So they are literally doing ISIS level stuff. And I made this joke. Yes, it's a joke. Yes, Taliban bad. But it is pretty progressive of them to solve the incel problem. Ba-da-bop. It is strange how the progressives end up coming to the same conclusion as the fucking Islamists on this shit. Let's continue. So, it turns out, yes, everyone knew this was going to happen. Everyone knew this was going to happen, and Biden was ignoring it. The spectacular collapse of Afghanistan's military that allowed the Taliban fighters to reach the gates of Kabul on Sunday, despite 20 years of training and billions of dollars in American aid, began with a series of deals brokered in rural villages between the Taliban militant group and some of the Afghan government's lowest-ranking officials. They were described by Afghan officials as ceasefires, but Taliban leaders were in fact offering money in exchange for government forces to hand over their weapons. Over the next year and a half, the meetings advanced to the district level and then rapidly onto provincial capitals, culminating in a breathtaking series of negotiated surrenders by government forces. My tweet was shown on the most recent episode of Lotus Eaters. Nice. Thanks, Saigon. So, the Taliban has been quietly buying off Afghan officials and military members to prep its sweep across the country. Either American intelligence either knew and wildly incompetently miscalculated, or it didn't know and is useless. Holy fuck. Or yeah, they could have just also not cared, right? Man, Biden's later than I am. Maybe like he's gonna start at 4 and he wants all of us to be here for 3:45, you know? Where's Lilith? Here's the thing. I offered Lilith, Sargon, and Arch all spots to come on the stream, but I think they're all too busy to do it right away. Like I kind of jumped on the stream around 3 o'clock, and they all didn't have enough time to come on. These things happen, though, you know. Let's keep going. This is actually a very informative thread here, so we'll read it. Important context to grasp the gravity of the geopolitical blunder now unfolding. America went to war in Afghanistan after the 9/11 hijackers were awarded U.S. visas by the State Department and then murdered almost 3,000 Americans, fell the Twin Towers, and sent the Pentagon ablaze. The state's rationale for staying all these years was to fight them over there so you don't have to fight them over here. No one ever explained why a better solution wasn't to deny entry to jihadists or their ideological sympathizers around the world. Fair enough. Strangely, many in the foreign policy establishment opposed President Trump's travel bans and visa curbs to keep violent extremists and their supporters from gaining entry into the United States, including, of course, President Biden, who has terminated those curbs and restrictions on high-risk entry. I don't know if this is true, but if it was, I wouldn't be surprised. And then it kind of goes on a bit more, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. But basically, it is... This seems to be a shit show, doesn't it? A very big shit show. There was a commentator who lost his uncle saying that his life was fought for nothing. That's brutal. Fucking hell, man. Right. This is Kraut's thread. My friend Kraut. And yes, Kraut is my friend. I do stand by him. Let's read this. This is actually a lot more interesting. This is Ismail Khan, an influential warlord of Afghanistan. In 40 years, he switched loyalty from the Islamist to the government, to the Taliban, to the anti-Taliban warlords, to Iran, to America, to drug lords, and now again to the Taliban. What do we learn here? I don't know. Afghanistan is a textbook example of a low-trust society based on kinship and clientelism, an institutional structure that prevailed despite U.S. state-building project, meaning the Afghan government was always a sham, a weak institution unable to replace previous institutions. You can win battles, but it is for nothing if you don't build new institutions that replace the institutions you've defeated. The Americans should have built a state in Afghanistan as they did in Germany and Korea after World War II. Instead, they trusted the old institutions that betrayed them. Yeah, fair enough. It is generally the strength of institutions and people's belief in them that determines whether or not a state is successful. Nobody believed in the state institutions in Afghanistan. Yeah. Here's the thing. Kraut is not the monster everyone thinks he is. He did not do the doxing server shit. That was all just a big psyop. The only problem with Kraut is that he sometimes, he holds a grudge way too much. He holds on to things when he should really just be, ignoring them and working. Let's see. Oh, yeah. In the days and weeks leading up to the collapse of Afghanistan, the Biden administration spent its time courting TikTok celebrities. So check this out. I guess being a TikToker is the new thing rather than being a YouTuber, eh? I guess I'm behind the times. But check out what Biden's White House has been funding.
One sec. Democracy's calling. See you, Daddy. Bye.
Hi, my name is Cooper, and this is a day in my life as a White House intern.
We did a joke. Hey, everyone. Vogue.
Usually I start off with a big coffee. Sorry, they're like really strict in here.
Hey, Jenny. I booked you a nail appointment, love.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to do that.
It's called Initiative. Hi, White House. This is Cooper. I don't think so. Oh, doesn't matter.
This is actually the entrance to the West Wing. This is so fun, and it's really prestigious.
Hey, POTUS. Is Olivia Rodrigo still here?
No. We've come a long way in our fight against this virus. We've vaccinated 160 million Americans. Are you getting this all down?
Don't worry, Queen. It's all right here.
Cooper.
Sorry, Miss Jen. And Jen, don't forget to have fun. Spirit fingers, Mama.
We need to get shots in the arms of every single American.
I'm heading to a haircut.
Comment if you want me to make more of these.
One sec. Democracy's...
Afghanistan is falling. Millions of women are going to be raped and murdered and enslaved. But as long as it's woke, it's good. Fucking hell, dude. My God. Yeah, you know what? I agree with my pal Cab here. Trump just shitposting at world leaders is more comical than this. Yes. Yes. Things were better when, like, Trump would shitpost at somebody and then drone strike an Iranian general and be like, don't fuck with us. That sucked, but it was better than America pulling out and, like, just getting fucked in Afghanistan. Man, Biden's really late. Like, even I'm not this late. All right, what is next? Oh, yeah. Good old Gravel Institute. Imagine if the $1 trillion that we gave to drug traffickers, pedophiles, and warlords in Afghanistan went to ordinary Americans instead. Unintentionally MAGA coming out of the Gravel Institute. Fucking hell. Everyone's asking me about Lord Miles in the chat. I saw that. I saw all the Lord Miles posts. I talked about Lord Miles on yesterday's stream, if you were here. And here seems to be an update about him. Here he is. He's still alive, at least as of this morning. Got himself a gun, a vest. I've met some of the forces. They're great lads. Flights for the RAF are canceled tomorrow, but I'm working on it. Evac is likely. America took back the airport, but apparently it's been breached. I've been hearing gunshots for a while, packed just in case. He's good to go. He's good to go, guys. He's going to fight his way out of Afghanistan. Refresh the Biden page. I want to see the thumbs. All right, hold on. Refreshed. Yep. 903 versus 128. So as far as I can tell, this is the last time we've heard from Lord Miles. Look what breadtubers are tweeting out right now. All right, I will in a second, but first let's keep going with this. Right, yes. Several U.S. intelligence sources tell ABC that they correctly predicted the rapid Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, but the Biden administration disregarded their reports. This is a crisis of untold proportions, said Jackie Spear, who's a Democrat from California. This is an intelligence failure. We underestimated the Taliban and overestimated the resolve of the Afghan army. But numerous U.S. officials tell ABC News that the opposite was true, insisting that key intelligence assessments had consistently informed policymakers that the Taliban could overwhelm the country and take the capital within weeks, essentially repeating the 1975 fall of Saigon, where helicopters hastily evacuated diplomats from the U.S. Embassy's rooftop as the North Vietnamese army stormed into the South Vietnam capital. Yes, and here is my final shitpost. This person replied to it with, I hate nerds so much. I posted, I was playing Pokemon Ruby when the Afghanistan Taliban Middle East garbage began, and I am now playing Pokemon Ruby as it is ending. I decided to start up Omega Ruby, guys. The more, and you know what? You know what else is happening? Apparently, there's like a Grand Theft Auto remake coming out, a Grand Theft Auto 3 remake. Man, 2001's happening all over again. All right. So I have gone through all of the things of interest that I currently have, but I will actually check out. Let's see what those bread tubers are in fact saying. Those idiots. It's kind of incredible, isn't it? It's kind of incredible. Like, nobody came out of this looking good, did they? Nobody came out of this looking good. It's a shame. Nobody came out of this looking good. The people who wanted to stay and continue their forever wars, they don't look good. The people who wanted to go look terrible because now we've left basically a struggling society to fall into the hands of Islamic extremists. That can't be good. Oh, he's here. All right, guys. Let's check it out.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Dix is live
I
too.
want to speak today to the unfolding situation in Afghanistan, the developments that have taken place in the last week, and the steps we're taking to address the rapidly evolving events. My national security team and I have been closely monitoring the situation on the ground in Afghanistan and moving quickly to execute the plans we had put in place to respond to every constituency, including and contingency, including the rapid collapse we're seeing now.
You said it wouldn't happen, Biden.
About the specific steps we're taking, but I want to remind everyone how we got here and what America's interests are in Afghanistan. We went to Afghanistan almost 20 years ago with clear goals. Get those who attacked us on September 11th, 2001, and make sure al-Qaeda could not use Afghanistan as a base from which to attack us again.
Also reasonable.
We did that. We severely degraded al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. We never gave up the hunt for Osama bin Laden, and we got him. That was a decade ago. Our mission in Afghanistan was never supposed to have been nation building.
Bullshit.
It was never supposed to be creating a unified, centralized democracy. Our only vital national interest in Afghanistan remains today what it has always been, preventing a terrorist attack on America's homeland. I've argued for many years that our mission should be narrowly focused on counterterrorism, not counterinsurgency or nation building. That's why I opposed the surge when it was proposed in 2009 when I was vice president. And that's why, as president, I'm adamant that we focus on the threats we face today in 2021, not yesterday's threats. Today,
oh my God,
the terrorist threat has metastasized well beyond Afghanistan. Al-Shabaab in Somalia, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, al-Nusra in Syria, ISIS attempting to create a caliphate in Syria and Iraq.
Caliphate?
And establishing affiliates in multiple countries in Africa and Asia. These threats warrant our attention
aren't even the problem
and
anymore.
Our resources.
It's China now.
We conduct effective counterterrorism missions against terrorist groups in multiple countries where we don't have permanent military presence. If necessary, we'll do the same in Afghanistan. We've developed counterterrorism over-the-horizon capability that will allow us to keep our eyes firmly fixed on the direct threats to the United States and the region, and act quickly and decisively if needed. When I came in office,
you pull out,
I inherited a deal that President Trump negotiated with the Taliban.
Oh my God,
Under his agreement, U.S. forces would be out of Afghanistan by May 1, 2021, just a little over 3 months after I took office. U.S. forces had already drawn down during the Trump administration from roughly 15,500 American forces.
Why did you leave all that shit there?
2,500
Get to it.
Country. And the Taliban was at its strongest militarily since 2001. The choice I had to make as your president was either to follow through on that agreement or be prepared to go back to fighting the Taliban in the middle of the spring fighting season.
Wait,
There would have been no
spring fighting
ceasefire
season?
after May 1.
Is it
There was no
seasonal?
agreement protecting our forces after May 1. There was no status quo of stability without American casualties after May 1. There was only a cold reality of either following through on the agreement to withdraw our forces or escalating the conflict and sending thousands more American troops back into combat in Afghanistan, lurching into the third decade of conflict.
Why did you leave all the equipment there?
I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces.
True.
That's why we're still there.
The first true thing he said.
We were clear-eyed about the risks. We planned for every contingency, but I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country.
It's not your fault, it's
the military
theirs.
collapsed, sometime without trying to fight.
200,000 versus 75,000, eh?
The developments of the past week reinforced that ending U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan now was the right decision. American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves.
That's also true, yes.
We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an
You
Afghan
shouldn't have.
military force.
You should have been out of there a year later.
100,000 strong. Incredibly well equipped. A force larger in size than the militaries of many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their Air Force.
The Taliban's Air
Something
Force
the Taliban
now.
doesn't have. Taliban does not have an Air Force.
They have it now,
We
dude.
provided close air support. We gave them every chance to determine their own future. What we could not provide them was the will to fight for that future. There's some very brave and capable Afghan special
They had to
forces
bootstraps
units
it, guys, and they didn't.
soldiers. But if Afghanistan is unable to mount any real resistance to the Taliban now, there is no chance that 1 year, 1 more year, 5 more years, or 20 more years of U.S. military boots on the ground would have made any difference. Here's what I believe to my core. It is wrong to order American troops to step up when Afghanistan's own armed forces would not.
Yeah, he was just praising the Afghan
Political
army a
leaders
couple months
of
ago, yeah.
Afghanistan were unable to come together for the good of their people, unable to negotiate for the future of their country when the chips were down. They would never have done so while U.S. troops remained in Afghanistan, bearing the brunt of the fighting for them.
Link it to me, Artemis. I'll check it after. DM me
Our
on Twitter.
true strategic competitors, China and Russia, would love nothing more than the United States to continue to funnel billions of dollars in resources and attention in the
I don't know about that, Biden. I think
Afghanistan
China is
effort.
happy with this. They're going to be partners with the Taliban
When I
now.
hosted President
China.
Ghani and Chairman Abdullah at the White House in June, and again when I spoke by phone to Ghani in July, we had very frank conversations. We talked about how Afghanistan should prepare to fight their civil wars after the U.S. military departed, to clean up the corruption in government so the government could function for the Afghan people. We talked extensively about the need for Afghan leaders to unite politically. They fail to do any of that. I also urge them to engage in diplomacy, to seek a political settlement with the Taliban. This advice
that was never going to
flatly
fucking happen.
refused. Mr. Ghani insisted the Afghan forces would fight. But obviously he was wrong. So I'm left again to ask of those who argue that we should stay, how many more generations of America's daughters and sons would you have me send to fight Afghanistan?
See, he's doing the endless war.
Afghan troops
thing.
will not.
And he's right on this.
How many more lives, American lives?
But talk about a fuck up that we should have never been in. Canada was there, so yeah, we.
Arlington National Cemetery.
Should have never been there in the first place.
I'm clear on my answer. I will not repeat the mistakes we've made in the past. Mistake of staying and fighting indefinitely.
I would have a lot of respect for Biden.
National interest of the United States.
If he called out Obama right now. Call out Obama.
War in a foreign country.
Bush and Obama, both of them. Call them out.
The endless military deployments of U.S. forces. Those are the mistakes we cannot continue to repeat because we have significant vital interest in the world that we cannot afford to ignore. I also want to acknowledge how painful this is to so many of us. The scenes we're seeing in Afghanistan, they're gut-wrenching, particularly for our veterans, our diplomats, humanitarian workers, for anyone who has spent time on the ground working to support the Afghan people, for those who have lost loved ones in Afghanistan, and for Americans who have fought and served in the country, serve our country in Afghanistan. This is deeply, deeply personal. It is for me as well.
Really?
I've worked on these issues as long as anyone. I've been throughout Afghanistan during this war, while the war was going on.
He voted to invade, didn't he?
To the Kunar Valley. I've traveled there on 4 different occasions. I met with the people. I've spoken to the leaders. I spent time with our troops. And I came to understand firsthand what was and was not possible in Afghanistan. So now we're focused on what is possible. We will continue to support the Afghan people. We will lead with our diplomacy, our international influence, and our humanitarian aid. We'll continue to push for regional diplomacy and engagement to prevent violence and instability. We'll continue to speak out for the basic rights of the Afghan people, of women and girls, just as we speak out all over the world. I've been clear, the human rights must be the center of our foreign policy, not the periphery. But the way to do it is not through endless military deployments. It's with our diplomacy.
See,
our economic tools.
He's correct, but it's so hollow coming from him.
To join us. Well, let me lay out the current mission in Afghanistan.
All right.
I was asked to authorize, and I did, 6,000 U.S. troops to deploy to Afghanistan for the purpose of assisting in the departure of U.S. and allied civilian personnel from Afghanistan and to evacuate our Afghan allies and vulnerable Afghans to safety outside of Afghanistan. Our troops are working to secure the airfield and to ensure continued operation of both the civilian and military flights. We're taking over air traffic control. We have safely shut down our embassy and transferred our diplomats.
This is one thing that I didn't show you. I couldn't find it again. But the embassy was on fire.
Consolidated at the airport as well.
At least according to a video that I watched.
Over the coming days, we intend to transport out thousands of American citizens who have been living and working in Afghanistan. We'll also continue to support the safe departure of civilian personnel, the civilian personnel of our allies who are still serving in Afghanistan. Operation Allies Refugee, which I announced back in July.
Yeah, this is literally the second Saigon.
2,000
Yep,
Afghans
same thing.
are eligible for special immigration visas and their families to the United States. In the coming days, the U.S. military will provide assistance to move more SIV-eligible Afghans and their families out of Afghanistan. We're also expanding refugee access to cover other vulnerable Afghans who worked for our embassy. U.S. non-governmental agencies or U.S. non-governmental organizations and Afghans who otherwise are at great risk, and U.S. news agencies.
I will need to
I know
describe
there are
why I
concerns
agree with
about
this
why
afterwards.
we
I
did
see the
not
chat
begin
does not,
evacuating
but after the video I will.
Afghans, civilians sooner. Part of the answer is some of the Afghans did not want to leave earlier, still hopeful for their country. And part of it was because the Afghan government and its supporters discouraged us from organizing a mass exodus to avoid triggering, as they said, a crisis of confidence. American troops are
The
performing
crisis has
this
been there for
mission
20 years, dude.
as professionally and as effectively as they always do. But it is not without risks. As we carry out this departure, we have made it clear to the Taliban, if they attack our personnel or disrupt our operation, the U.S. presence will be swift and the response will be swift and forceful. We will defend our people with devastating force if necessary. Our current military mission will be short in time, limited in scope, and focused in its objectives. Get our people and our allies to safely as quickly as possible. And once we have completed this mission, we will conclude our military withdrawal. We will end America's longest war after 20 long years of bloodshed. The events we're seeing now are sadly proof that no amount of military force would ever deliver a stable, united, secure Afghanistan.
You didn't say that a month ago,
the
dude.
Graveyard of empires. What's happening now?
Oh my God! It's not the graveyard of empires.
Just as easily happened
Holy
5
fuck.
years ago, or 15
Holy
years
fuck.
in the
Okay.
future. You have to be honest. Our mission in Afghanistan is taking many missteps, made many missteps over the past 2 decades. I'm now the 4th American president to preside over war in Afghanistan. 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. I will not pass this responsibility on to a 5th president. I will not mislead the American people by claiming that just a little more time in Afghanistan will make all the difference. Nor will I shrink from my share of responsibility for where we are today and how we must move forward from here. I am President of the United States of America, and the buck stops with me. I'm deeply saddened by the facts we now face.
Giving up
But
in a
I do
month.
not regret
Yeah.
my decision to end America's war fighting in Afghanistan and maintain a
You
laser
think so,
focus
Dragon
on our
Bat?
counterterrorism missions there and other parts of the world. Our mission to degrade the terrorist threat of al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and kill Osama bin Laden was a success.
True enough.
A decades-long effort to overcome centuries of history and permanently change and remake Afghanistan was not. And I wrote and believed it never could be.
Fucking liar. That is a straight up
I
lie.
will not ask our troops to fight on endlessly in another country's civil war, taking casualties, suffering life-shattering injuries, leaving families broken by grief and loss. This is not in our national security interest. It is not what the American people want.
Finishes blaming everyone else. The buck stops with me.
It is not what our troops, who have sacrificed so much over the past 2 decades, deserve. I made a commitment to the American people when I ran for president that I would bring America's military involvement in Afghanistan to an end. While it's been hard and messy, and yes, far from perfect, I've honored that commitment. More importantly, I made a commitment to the brave men and women who serve this nation that I wasn't going to ask them to continue to risk their lives in a military action that should have ended long ago. Our leaders did that in Vietnam when I got here as a young man. I will not do it in Afghanistan. I know my decision will be criticized, but I would rather take all that criticism
Fucking hell.
than pass this decision
He
on
said
to another
this was not like
president of the
Vietnam,
United
and now he's
States, yet
referencing
another
it.
one, a 5th one. Because it's the right one, it's the right decision for our people. The right one for our brave service members who risk their lives serving our nation. And it's the right one for America. Thank you. May God protect our troops, our diplomats, and all brave Americans serving in harm's way.
No questions. Put your mask back on, Biden. No questions. Fucking hell. Okay, I want to check something real quick. I'm going to refresh this. 1.3k dislikes. Yeah, YouTube is actually yeeting dislikes, guys. Arch sent me a screenshot. Fucking hell. Okay. So, there were a few things that I think is worth going over. Yeah, they said that, yeah, refuses to elaborate, leaves. See, Biden will only take questions from pre-approved media. Sorry, Tim Pool, but you were wrong. You took no questions at all. Okay, let's see. Let's jump ahead to where it actually happens. Okay.
Democracy.
There were like two things that I agreed with, and I gotta remember what they were.
No chance that 1 year, one more year,
like
5 more years.
He's completely correct when he talks about the unending nature of the Afghanistan war. The Americans can prop up a regime there, but if the Afghanis aren't willing to fight for it, if they instead just give in to the Taliban, well, then it's clear that that's what the Afghanis want, is the Taliban. So it's true, like, you can't just stay there forever. And everyone has been saying, end the forever wars. So, yes. But I mean, what a fucking way to do it. You know? Don't just leave all the equipment there when you know that the place is going to fall apart and just let the Taliban take all of it. There was no good way to leave. Because it doesn't matter when he left, or anybody left, it would end up this poorly. But the way that he left made it worse. Because in trying to give them a fighting chance, he left the Taliban all that stuff. Like, holy fuck. What a shit show. And secondly, just the blatant lying that comes from him. He's saying a month ago, you know, in that video clip that I showed you at the start of the stream, he has no problems with supporting the Afghan government. They have his every confidence. He supplied them. There's 300,000 of them. They have guns. They have stuff. Like, just, he must have known that this was going to happen. He was blowing smoke up everybody's ass. Like, fucking hell. And here's where I disagree with the chat a little bit. Okay? The chat absolutely, sorry, not the chat. The chat, I think you guys are wrong on this. Those of you who disagreed with me. America and Canada and the UK and others who were in there in getting involved in Afghanistan. All of these countries absolutely have an obligation to, at the very least, take in those officials who were loyal to the Afghanistan government, who really did fight with the Americans and did want things to get better. I think we have an obligation to take those people in. That makes sense to me because they're not part of the Taliban. They actually wanted things to get better. If they're willing to help us, then we should be willing to help them. And if we don't help them in the next war, because it sucks to say it, but there's probably going to be a war, at least another war sometime between whenever, now and whenever all of us die, because that's the nature of geopolitics. There's going to be another war. And why should anybody help us if we're not willing to help them? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, exactly. You don't leave people behind like that. Yes. No. There's no fuck 'em there, guys. I don't agree. If let's say somebody attacks the United States, and then the United States moves in, conquers that country, and then wants to set up a functioning regime, and then that regime falls. The natives there who wanted the same thing that you wanted, who wanted freedom and who wanted prosperity, they're going to get fucked for being collaborators once the Americans leave. There is absolutely a moral obligation to help those people on your way out. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, what was this person here? Let me just see. Let me find it. Yeah, Afghanistan's first female mayor. Okay, forget about the fact that she's female. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It makes for a decent story on Twitter, but it doesn't actually matter. People who are like mid-level government officials who weren't corrupt, who tried their best to maintain an actual semblance of freedom and democracy. These are the people that deserve to be airlifted out. Definitely. They tried and failed to help the Americans in their regime building. Yes, there is 100% a duty on our part to fulfill. Yeah, someone said, we have a duty to protect the Afghans that are now critically in danger because they helped us. Yes. Yes. It was the same thing in Vietnam. It was the same thing in Vietnam. There's a reason that a bunch of Vietnamese people were taken out and became refugees. Because they fought. They tried to make it worse. They tried to make it work. Some of them shed blood. Yes. Yes, absolutely. And yes, I know the Canadians left early. That's because that's how Canadians roll. We shouldn't help them at all. The people of that country don't want us or our values. 98% of them don't. Yes, I've seen the poll that's been floating around recently on the internet. Yes, 98% of them want what the Taliban wants. All right, the 2% that don't, and the 2%, and of that 2%, those that fought with us and for our ideals definitely deserve our help. Absolutely deserve our help. Yes. Dragonfat says we should have been out the moment that we killed Osama. Yes, actually, yes, as well. Yes, you should have been, because there was no actual nation building there. You know, the moment that Osama bin Laden was dead, they should have pulled out and they should have taken everyone with them and said, "Fuck it, you know what? You guys can all live in shit. We're peacing." Here's what should have happened. All right, 2001, they roll in with 100 times the manpower that they actually did back in 2001. They fucking stomp everybody in Afghanistan, all of them. Destroy every single training camp, every single military outpost, every installation, shell every fucking capital, and say, listen, whenever you attack us, we're just going to do this. Now, figure it out yourself, and then leave. It should have been like a 3-month war at the absolute most. No nation building, and it's so bullshit that Biden was like, it was never nation building. Yes, it was. Bush said it was nation building. Obama said it was nation building. I remember. I am old enough to remember watching TV. They definitely said it was nation building. All right. Here. I'm going to go and see. Hold on. I'm going to refresh because I think Artemis Fowl was going to send me something about how this was. He didn't send it. No big deal, I guess. It's not a big deal. Yes. Americans and people with compatible values first. Yes. And if that includes, you know, the few Afghani allies that we actually had, it should include them. Yes. Yeah. Me and Sticks saying some of the same stuff. Well, because Sticks is a good guy. He knows what he's doing. It's not our people, not our country, not our problem. The problem with your view is that autarky never actually works out. All right? America cannot take on the entire world and win. This has, if anything that has shown us that, it's this. All right? Simple as that. That's pretty clear, I think. You definitely need to. There definitely needs to be a coalition of of nations with compatible values like liberalism and like capitalism and democracy and freedom. Some European nations, Japan, South Korea, Canada, the United States, like you know the nations I'm talking about. But that coalition also needs to have enough backbone to not simply be swayed by money and send all of their economic trade to China, right? Like the complete and total protectionism of Trump wasn't good, but at the same time, just keep building more factories in China. That'll work out. That won't come back to bite us in the ass. That's also stupid. The neolibs are dumb in that regard. All right. Here's the problem with that view, Dragon Fat. We don't need to declare war on the world, just stay out of the world's business. So when America leaves, there's a power vacuum and China moves in. And you might just say, who gives a fuck? Fair enough. But then when China's everywhere and America's only in America, what do you think will stop the Chinese from actually coming to America? That's kind of the point. You like China's trying to create a buffer between it and other nations the way that America has created that buffer because it leads to safety and prosperity. And yeah, who will trust the United States now? Especially if the United States fails to actually withdraw its allies safely and those who genuinely helped them. Who would trust it in the future? It seems almost ridiculous. Like people on the left and people on the right, they're both angry with the situation, generally for correct factual reasons. But when people on the left and people on the right are happy with this situation, generally their reasoning is fucking nuts, in my opinion. Fucking nuts. Stop being a fucking Cold War boomer. The problem with that, Dragon, is that the alternative is a hot war. That's all you get. The Chinese view of how the individual should be treated, how civilization should be built, is fundamentally incompatible with the Western view. Period. So either you confront that or you don't. And if you don't confront that, then you will find that they are on your front porch right away. Simple as that. Yeah, that's the problem. China won't just rule Asia. They won't stop there. Fuck it, hot war over sooner. Honestly, the Korean War should have become a hot war with China. It would have solved this fucking problem. I feel like if there is one lesson to be learned about America and all of this, is that they are not decisive enough when they need to be decisive. They are not decisive enough when it came to the Korean War. They weren't decisive enough when it came to the Vietnam War, and they're not decisive enough when it comes to Afghanistan. No. China's not going to go to... China doesn't need to go into Afghanistan. China's already pro-Taliban. Yeah. Simple as that. Anyway, I think that wraps it up for today, doesn't it? I mean, there's no new happenings, it seems like. There's no new information. It just seems to be that is the situation. So I'll pull up the shill screen. $5 club, as always, $5 through a recurring source. One of those 4 links on the screen gets you into the $5 club in Discord. $100 directly, US dollars, into my PayPal. I'll send me the receipt. Put you into the $5 club for life. PO box. Send me your junk. I'll open it on stream. Let's see if YouTube will actually let me access the super chats this time, because YouTube has been fucking awful when it comes to letting me access super chats. So let's see. Come on, YouTube, give me the super chats this time. They never let me. Like, there was like something was broken in the super chat system. It's still broken. I still can't see the super chats. I still can't see them, guys. I appreciate all your donations, but I can't read them out. Here, Thompson says, Dev Trudeau said we'll be taking in approximately 20,000 refugees. Canada deployed a few thousand troops over the first 10 years. Apparently, Canada sourced a lot of local help. Yeah, maybe. It's possible. Like if though, like I know that there's statistically a much higher prevalence of rape and murder that come out of Afghans than other people. If we're taking the non-rapists and the non-murderers, I'm okay with that. Hot take: should have let Japan keep territory in China. Holy fuck, that is a hot fucking take, dude. $2 from Silver Camaro. Chad MacArthur, Virgin Truman. I remember that conversation, dude. Silver Camaro for $5. We do not need allies, Dev. The U.S. is the coalition. The only thing other countries provide is legitimacy. Military allies not needed. Disagree. I think if the entire world got together and fought the United States would lose. And that's more evident now than ever before. Okay, let's see. Yeah, like, student of history says service guarantees citizenship. Pure Stress says, how about dealing with Toyota for selling so much to the Taliban? It's possible. Yeah, we could do that. Wednesday, I heard for the Super Chat issue being fixed. Okay, so I guess what I will do is I will read all the Super Chats next stream, as long as it's past Wednesday. Hold on. Why are you okay with that? Do genetics not matter to you at all? Yes. Not really. I know that you look at the world through a racial lens. I don't. That's why I'm a liberal and you're not. It's as simple as that. But at the same time, man, some of those Middle Eastern girls are really hot, aren't they? Like, dude, if we could just take all the Afghani women, that might be fun. I'm okay with this, dude. Yeah. But yeah, so it turns out that YouTube Super Chats are busted. I will read off all the Super Chats from all the streams, yesterday's and today's, on the next stream. Okay, guys? But yes, I am and will always be a civic nationalist. I am and will always be a liberal. Simple as that. Sorry. Isolationism/interventionism debate is a false dichotomy. Yeah. Sometimes you need both, basically. Depends. Depends on the situation. In any case, guys, I will be taking off soon. In between 2 to 3 hours, I will be... Never remember the name. Okay. Between 2 to 3 hours, guys, I'll be on my Twitch channel. And I'll be... Yeah, guys, I have a Jewish girlfriend. Don't worry about that shit, all right? And also, I'm not fully white myself. So don't worry. Don't worry, all right? Here, I'm going to post in the chat. In 2 to 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, I'm live on the gaming channel. Hold on. It's Twitch. Twitch.tv/GameBoomers. My girlfriend and I, my Jewish girlfriend and I, are on the Twitch channel tonight in 2 to 3 hours. So make sure you're there, okay? I don't talk as much politics. I generally like to hang out over there. So click on this thingy here. Not just not just Italian, titanium, also Native American. A little bit. By the way, Dev, I resent you saying I'm not a liberal because I don't agree with you. That's very purity spiraling and progressive of you. It's because racialized stuff like that is inherently illiberal. That's why I say you're not a liberal. Yes, it's okay. I can be friends with people who aren't liberals. I'm not, exclusionary like that. Yeah, like liberalism, in fact, is a lot. Here's the thing: like classical liberalism is a lot more fine with freedom, with complete and total freedom of movement than I am. All right. So you can't really, to be like the purest form of liberal, you can't really be pro borders, which is kind of ridiculous in my opinion, which is why I'm not the purest form of liberal. But still. All right. I'm getting out of here. Drop by the Twitch channel tonight, playing video games, hanging out. It's going to be a good time. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for the super chats. Sorry I couldn't read them. And I will see you next time. Have a good day, everybody. I love you.